So, what we have on page 116 is we have a table of our two forms of equations. Standard form and factored form. Who remembers from last week as to what makes standard form standard form? What do you look for in that equation to know your standard form? What exponent? You have exponents of 2 on this side. These guys all have x squared in them. What about factored form? What's special about our factored form? It has parentheses. Just because it's new doesn't mean I can't take it. It has parentheses. That is what we were talking about last week before your test, was knowing the difference and being able to really quickly look and see which is which. What we're going to start practicing today is how to really quickly jump between the two forms. Think about those boxes you were making, those box models. What did you multiply together to get an x squared? What times what equaled x squared when you were filling in your boxes? X times x. So you can do an x times x. And I'm going to write it with parentheses instead of a dot so that it fits into our factored form shape. So you can do x parentheses x to fit into the factored form shape. We're going to go all of our standard forms first. When I look at this one, we know x times x gives me x squared. What times what gives me 18x? 9 times, sure. What's an even simpler way to get 18x? 18 and x. You guys are making it a little complicated for starts. So I know x times x gives me x squared. I know x times minus 18 gives me 18x. Now, up until now, we would go backwards by drawing a box. Today's the first day where I'm going to very slowly take away the box model from you and start to teach you how to do it in your head and do it faster than with the box model. When we do a box, you usually have x on top, x and 9 in the front. Well, I know I have these two together. What is x times x?
X squared.
So I can go over here and give myself that x squared. What would I do to the 9? Who am I going to multiply with 9?
X.
And x times 9 gives me 9x. My next one is x, 6 minus x. What does x times 6 give me?
6x.
6x. X times minus x?
Minus x squared.
Minus x squared. That math, those patterns, are something we're going to be practicing and building up over the next 2 weeks. We're going to be building up those patterns and those skills to make them faster and faster. Your goal is by about the end of the week, maybe early next week, we can do the size of a box model, but that fast in our heads. That's one of the goals that you're going to be pushing up to. But what we're really looking at today is standard form and learning more about what makes standard form and how standard form connects to a graph. So, down here where we have space, we're going to start to break down the components of a standard form equation. Standard form always has what key thing in it? What is the thing every standard form has in it? Standard form always has x squared. Standard form always has an x squared. Somebody pick a random number.
3.
3? Somebody pick another random number.
5.
Sure. The numbers here don't matter. You'll see equations with all sorts of numbers in them. What we're using this for is to start to name these pieces. Because these three guys each have a name. And when we learn their names, it'll be easier for us to talk about them. We already know our x squared. This is called the squared term. This is called a square term. So, anybody that has an x on them, like this guy, without the 2, this is called the linear term. Where have we seen the word linear before? On graphs. What does linear mean? It means line. A linear term means you have a straight line. When we made our linear graphs, we wouldn't have this first guy here. We just have things like 3x minus 5. Linear terms are what give you that line. That x gives you a straight line. Our last one, our 5, or a number that doesn't get a letter involved, is called your constant. What does it mean if you're constant? Kind of common.
Consistent.
Consistent. I like that word, consistent. Constant means you never change. You're consistent. You're always there. No matter what number we use for x, no matter what our answer is, we will always have a minus 5 in that equation. X will not change minus 5. It is consistently or constantly a 5. Knowing these words is going to help us be able to talk about these pieces as we move through these equations. We're going to keep practicing those words, but it's going to start to help us be able to talk about our math. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be typing in different standard form equations to try to figure out how each of these 3 terms change the shape of our graph. There's a lot of different things that a graph can look like, even though they all kind of have that U shape. They all have a lot of differences involved. The first thing number 1 wants us to do is graph y equals x squared. So in Desmos, we're all going to put in y equals x squared. To do the little 2, you got to open up your keyboard. And you can hit that little A2 button. Give me a thumbs up when you have your y equals x squared in there. Thank you, girls. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Haley. What do you notice about this graph? What's it doing? How would you describe what this looks like? A curve? What type of curve? A U. It's a good, solid U shape. Do you have any important numbers flagged by Desmos? Does it have any special points right now? 0, 0. Does anyone remember what this special point is called? The origin is that. If you're on the bottom of the U, do we know what that's called? I'm not sure this group talked about it. It might have been just my period 3. The bottom of U, it is a minimum, but this special place on your U is called the vertex. I'll put that. I'll just zoom. When you have a U-shaped graph, either going this way or going this way, you have a special point on either the bottom or the top where that graph turns around, and that point is your vertex. So we have our vertex point at 0, 0. Well, what this question wants us to do is add different linear terms. For example, it wants us to try putting in x squared plus 4x. So in your second line, copy in some of those equations that you see in 1a and see what it does to the shape of your graph. So you're going to overlay your graph with things like x squared plus 4x, x squared plus 20x. Any of those options that you see, you need to look at there. Those types of equations, what you're putting in. And we're going to see how it impacts your graph. What happened to it when you put in y equals negative x squared? Well, it flipped over, right? When we have a negative x squared, we call this going down because the legs of that U shape are pointing downwards. And here's how I remember this. If you're negative, if you feel negative, are you happy or sad? Is negative a good feeling or a bad feeling? Bad. When you feel negative, you point down like a frown. When your x squared is negative, you go down like a frown. And when he's positive, you're smiling because you're happy. Your x squared is going to make you go down. If you look at that table, I've cleared my Desmos and I've put in my first equation. So we've cleared out Desmos. We've cleared out Desmos and we put in the first equation in our table. You got this guy in? This guy in. You can do the rest. You want to stay with me? The first thing the table is asking for are the x-intercepts. Throw this guy in for me, please. So, my x-intercepts. Where would my x-intercepts be on this graph? What am I looking for? What are x-intercepts? Which line is the x-axis? You're across or you're up and down? You're a cross line. Does my blue U ever hit my across number line? How many times? 2. And on Desmos you can click. Where's my first one? So in my table I can say -6 and where's my other one? The origin, so 0. Gotta write this better. So we get -6 and 0. Those are your two x-intercepts. We can't write them as full points because the box is really tiny. So you get -6 and you get 0. Then it wants what's called the x-coordinate of your vertex. Let's just start by finding the vertex. The vertex is the bottom of your U. Do you have a gray dot on your vertex? You should have a gray dot on the vertex you can click on. Does your little guy have one? Oh, sometimes the Chromebook ones. Yeah, that guy. Now, x-coordinate. Is x your first or second number? Your first number. So if I'm looking at this point, it's at -3, -9. Which of those two numbers do we want for our answer? Just the -3. You are going to fill in the rest of your table. I will move this and have this as your example so you can see it. You are going to fill in these other 3 lines of your table. And then I can move you to your cool down. Can you show me where the x-intercepts are? Yep. So 0 and 10. Now, do you remember what this one looks like? Maybe zoom out some more.
This one?
There. Now take the first number. What's that?
Oh, 5.
Just positive 5. So he doesn't have a minus with him? 2. Okay, so this one. Your vertex is the bottom of that U. So go find that point there that you have in your notes and click on it. Click it. Take the first number you see and put it in this box. Good. Now type in this one. So delete that.
What?
Find me the x-intercepts. Where does it touch that number line? So what's that? And? Where's the other one? So 0 and 10. You see? You find me the vertex. First number. Perfect.
What's the first one?
Just the first one. See, this is just x coordinate.
Okay.
We'll dig into the other part of it tomorrow. Thursday when I see you next. Alright. So, do you know what x-intercepts are?
Yeah.
Okay, can you show me one of them? It's that one. Do you know where the other one is?
Yeah.
So what are the numbers that they're at? So you're just gonna call that 10 and 0. 0 for that guy, 10 for that guy. So just the numbers 10 and 0, like how I listed the numbers here. We don't have space to write the full points. So we'll keep practicing that as we go. Cool. Vertex is either the bottom or the top. Do you have a bottom or a top on this one?
A bottom.
Go find it. Come on, zoom out a little bit and
Is
click
it
it.
0?
Yep. Now we're taking the x coordinate. Is that the first or the second number? Good. So yours, yep, exactly. Do 2 more and then your cool down is 1 more of these.
Okay.
I'll show you that when you get ready for it. Because it'll be your first cool down.
Okay.
Perfect. Your cool down's 1 more, 713.
Ya se oído.
So in Desmos,
Yo
you're gonna
siento
put
que es como
this
que se
in.
hace más estúpido.
And then try to draw what you
Otra vez es
see.
inteligente,
Add
pero
it
se
to the
hace
graph
más
that already exists.
Es la misma mierda.
So you're gonna draw it on like another U. Here and then here. Put it upside down. Put it in Desmos and draw what you see.
A ver, los tíos.
Okay. Open up Desmos. That's our graphing website. That one. Draw what you see on top of that graph. Put him in Desmos and draw what you see. Okay. So, what we're going to do is we are going to copy in, type that equation into Desmos. So next, do you know how to do the little 2? Keyboard. And then that A2 button. Oh, no, back it up, sorry. This one. There you go. And then it's minus 4x. Great. So, first thing I want is your x-intercepts. This is your x-axis. Did we ever touch this number line? Does this guy ever touch this? Yeah, where? Click on a spot where he does that. Perfect. What number is that at? 0. Where's another one? What number? 4. So, when we go back here, your answers are 0, 4. Is number 2 the drawing? Put it in Desmos, the equation I give you. Add your U you see on Desmos to the graph I give you on the drawing website. You'll have 2 U's on the same one. Screenshot upload. Now, let's go back to our picture. And let's zoom this out a little bit. I want to see the bottom. So this bottom is what we call the vertex. And I want you to take the first number that you see there. That's your other answer. The next question is going to give you an equation. I want you to draw it, okay? So you'll put that on Desmos, and you'll draw it on top of you. There's a drawing link somewhere in there. If that link doesn't work for you, because I think it's your first time using it, let me know and I'll add you to the account. Let's see if that does. Oh, okay. Actually, I do like that. I see what you're doing now. That does work. Yeah, screenshot. Cool. Explain to me your process for drawing that. Like, what did you look at first? Where did you first start that U? I just want to know what your brain thinks about drawing them. Because we're going to build steps for how to draw them. There's a lot of rules. And I want to see what rules you have before I give them to you. Vertex, if I draw my U shape, I can either look like this or like that. Either way, they have a special point. You're going to find that point and take that number from it. So there's two numbers, you want the first one. Okay? So zoom this guy out. Alright, you guys have 3 minutes left. As you finish, you can pack up. If you want me to check something, leave it open and I'll come around quick.